What is going on to all my low-key MCU fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with my weekly recap, breakdown, and review of the very first episode of Loki, ladies and gentlemen. This is a full-on spoiler discussion, so if you haven't seen the episode quite yet, go check out my spoiler-free review that I did the other day, watch the episode, and come and join the conversation. But this will be a fun conversation. I'm so excited to be back in the MCU, talking some Loki. So before we dive into it, make sure you all are following me on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel, and while you all are at it, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new content. It would mean a lot to me if you all can like and share this review. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate all the support. And in those comments below, let's talk everything about this first episode. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? Are you a fan of the TVA and the characters involved in TVA? Are you a fan of this new version of Loki? Let's talk about your thoughts and theories about who this variant Loki could be, as well as what you hope to see in this season of this new show. Let's talk about it in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, first thing I want to say up top, we will be bringing back those live streams. I can't wait to be back. Set it for Saturdays, where we'll be doing the live stream discussions on Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Myself, Amanda, and Chris, and we will be having some fantastic special guests. Week's one guest will be fantastic Frankie, who will be joining us tomorrow. So I'm going to leave the information of that live stream in the description. Click on it, hit the bell, and I'll see you all tomorrow. And then also, I mentioned it on my non-spoiler review, but we will be doing a giveaway, as you all can see on the screen now. My awesome friend on Instagram is an incredible artist. He made this hat, and if you love it, well, you can get a chance to win this hat. There's a couple things you have to do. Make sure you live in the US or you're in Canada, and then also make sure you're a subscriber. Follow my friend on Instagram, and then in the comments, just simply say, I would like to enter the contest, and then we will announce that winner on tomorrow's live stream. So look, we're talking Loki. Full spoilers ahead. As I'm recording this, there isn't a title to the episode quite yet, but it is 50 minutes long, and we're here to talk about it. Starting off with the opening sequence, we take it into 2012. We go back to the Avengers. We see that the Avengers have captured Loki. We get a mixture of that scene that happened in 2012. We get a new shot, because I don't remember seeing Loki wave at the Hulk, and then we go back to the Avengers Endgame sequence, where we see the Hulk bursts the door. Tony loses the Tesseract. We see Loki pick it up, and ladies and gentlemen, the adventure begins. The journey begins as we cut to Mongolia in the desert. We see Loki doing his old Loki thing, where he's introducing himself, and this is where we get introduced to the new players of the MCU, and that is the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, as we see Wumi Mushaku, who I am such a big fan of her work. Do yourself a favor, if you're a horror fan, watch his house. If you're a horror sci-fi fan of drama, watch Lovecraft Country. She is fantastic. I'm so excited she's in the MCU. This is yet again just another home run of casting, whether it be Wumi Mushaku, whether it be Gugu, Owen Wilson. This cast, MCU, perfect. But Wumi Mushaku is introduced in this sequence as Hunter B-15, as she does a badass thing. Loki's talking his stuff, right? Talking about that I'm a god, and I'm going to give you one last chance to give me that Tesseract. She hits him with her kind of time club, and it kind of takes him into this 1/16th time frame where he's moving in real time, but we're seeing him in slow motion. Such a great way to introduce a TVA and introduce this badass character in Hunter B-15. Cut to seeing a Loki. He's now getting processed in the TVA, and I love this little Easter egg, which we saw this in the trailer, but we see that there is a Skrull who's also under arrest, which this is yet the second show that we got. We saw a Skrull in WandaVision, now we've seen a Skrull in this show. This is yet again just planting the seeds for what's to come in Secret Invasion coming to Disney Plus, which I can't wait for that show. But as we kind of move forward, this is where the show, it mixes in sci-fi and magic and adventure and fun, but also comedy. The writers behind the show, Rick and Morty, and the director, Kate, she's worked on some comedy things like Sex Education. The comedy works so well in this first episode, and we see him getting arrested. We saw this in the trailer when he has to sign everything he said so far. We see him getting processed, and he has to verify that he's not a robot, which I thought was a funny moment. But this is the moment here where I'm like, okay, this is your Baby Yoda. This is your next Funko, sensation. This is what the kids are going to be dressing up in Halloween. We meet Miss Minutes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, she will be a fan favorite. I love this character, and I can't wait to see more of this character. But we see Miss Minutes. She's tasked to giving the educational course of the multiverse, not only Loki, but to the audience, because this is a kind of official announcement of the multiverse. Because we've heard the word multiverse in the MCU before, whether it was in Doctor Strange. Obviously, we got it in Spider-Man and Avengers movies, but this is like officially kind of explaining the multiverse in the MCU. As Miss Minutes talks about the timekeepers, who are very important players in the comics. We learn a little bit about what they're doing in the MCU, which is very similar to the comics. They're here to protect and preserve the proper time flow of everything, of every multiverse imaginable. And I love these choice words they use in explaining the timekeepers in regards to Nexus beings. Now, you all remember, even if you're not a comic fan, just taking it off of context of WandaVision, Wanda is a Nexus being, someone that can go through the multiverse and, cause chaos in the multiverse. As they say, this variance can disrupt the timeline. And I love that they say can create madness in the multiverse, which we all know Multiverse of Madness is the subtitle of Doctor Strange. I'm telling you all, this show is so important to the MCU, especially when you all see episode 2, which I won't talk about quite yet, but we'll talk about it next week. But I love how they use those words. But there was a multiverse war that happened before. Now, I can't wait to learn a little bit about what happened before in this multiverse world. They say a cause of a multiverse war that's happened in the past. So I'm really excited to see if we learn a little bit more of that history lesson, who was all involved in this past multiverse war. But cut to 1549, we go to France, and we learn in this scene a little bit of exposition. This is the 6th incident that's happened this week, the 6th attack that's happened this week, as we're introduced to my man Owen Wilson, who I mentioned in my non-spoiler review. Yet again, perfect casting. Mobius, he is fantastic. I love Owen Wilson's charisma, his charm, his wit. I'm so excited to get more of this character. I think that him and Loki, the stuff they do in this episode, the stuff they do in episode 2, they're going to be some of the best duos that we got in the MCU so far. But anyway, we see Mobius talking to this young kid who has this blue gum. He's been gifted this gum, and I love, here we go, let the Mephisto theories start up again from WandaVision, because the little kid points to the devil. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Are we dealing with Mephisto? Are we dealing with another version of Loki, as they talk about, which we'll talk about at the end of this episode? Are we dealing with Kang the Conqueror? Let me know your theories in the comments below. But this person is responsible for all these crimes that we have gotten in the last 6 days, or in this last week. So cut to L1130, Loki, as he's being processed and talking to the judge, played by Gugu, who is playing Renslayer, who I love. Gugu, I love her in this role. I can't wait to see more of her character. For those that are familiar with this character in the comics, Renslayer is a pretty important character because she does have ties, a relationship in particularly with Kang the Conqueror. As we know, Jonathan Majors has been cast as a character, and we're thinking that his first appearance will be in Ant-Man Quantumanium, but I don't know. We'll see if Mr. Jonathan Majors makes his way into this show. But as I digress, we see Loki pleading not guilty to his crimes because he blames the Avengers for disrupting the timeline and interrupting his ascendant to being a god king. Again, Loki, his scheming ways, he's blaming the other people, the Avengers. Love this moment here. But this is a big moment because this is a question I was thinking about before they even, the first episode. We know that they're the time variants. We learn about them. They preserve the timeline. But why weren't they interfering when the Avengers taking the time stone? I kind of think, okay, maybe because they put the time stones back in the timeline. But it's like, no, they would have stopped them from doing this, as we saw them stop Loki. But then Renslayer tells the audience, she tells us that they wanted the Avengers to do that. We'll see and learn a little bit more about these timekeepers and how they pick and choose who can disrupt the timeline, who can't disrupt the timeline, but something to look forward to. But we see Mobius wants to take Loki under his wing, and I love, again, another little Easter egg as he says, oh, if you want to disrupt the department, deal with the Nightmare department. Again, Mephisto, Nightmare, you name it. I can't wait to have a fun time with this show and hear all the awesome theories you all have, and of course hear my theories about what's to come. But either way, Mobius and Loki are having this awesome discussion argument about his birthright. As we know, Loki always wants to be the king. He wants to be the king of Asgard. He wants to be the king of Midgard, aka Earth. And we have this awesome discussion between these two as he sees his past actions. He sees what he did in the Avengers film, and then we get this really awesome moment that we saw in the trailer, which is him, Loki, playing D.B. Cooper, who's the, as you all may or may not know, is this particular person back in the 1970s, I want to say, who hijacked this 727 aircraft, stole some money. His identity was never identified until now that, yes, that was Loki. He lost a bet to his brother Thor, which... Are we going to get Chris Hemsworth in this show? Some variation of Chris Hemsworth? Let me know your thoughts, or Heimdall, or Odin, or Hela. Let me know if you all think we're going to get a cameo, a big cameo from any of those characters from Thor. Let me know. Jane Foster? I don't know. Maybe another version of Thor. As we know, she's going to be Thor in Love and Thunder. Let's talk about it in the comments. But moving forward, he's shown all the events, in particular the events that take place in Thor 2, which I'm not a big fan of Alan Taylor's film, Thor Dark World. But we see a pretty pivotal moment that not only played big into that film, it played big into what we get in Endgame, but Loki sees that he was responsible for the death of his mother and sees her death take place, which shakes him, that startles him. We're seeing that version, which again, this is 2012 Loki. This is the evil. I want to rule the world and Earth and all the people. Here's the boot and ant, all that stuff that we got in Avengers. This is a different Loki, but he's starting to get into the good grace of, like, he does have a heart, and we'll talk about that heart and soul in a little bit here. But Loki says that he is destined, or I should say, we see Mobius say that he is destined to cause pain, suffering, and death, and that he is to propel people to be their greater selves, their best versions of themselves. And we see them cut to the Avengers, and we know that all his path leads to death. So now Loki has this kind of new perspective of what life can mean to him. So we see them have this kind of exchange. We see obviously Loki being sneaky. He took that little time loop thing out of Mobius's jacket when he helped him out, and we see that Loki has this moment where he escapes Mobius's office. He runs into that Casey character that we meet early in the episode, who took the Tesseract, and this is a huge moment right here. The ramifications of this scene mean so much. I wonder how you all feel about this, because it almost makes the Infinity Stones seem like they're not that important, right? So we see that Casey, tells him, here's the Infinity Stone, the Tesseract, and as Loki's digging through this drawer, he comes across the other Infinity Stones. And listen, the people at the TVA, this is how important Infinity Stones are to them. They use it as paper holders and potentially paper clips, and not as world destroyers as Thanos used it as. And oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, this is when Loki begins to realize that this is one of the greatest powers in the universe, because they don't even care what an Infinity Stone is. It doesn't even have the powers in the TVA. So I'm kind of torn about this, because it almost like slaps the Infinity Saga out of the way. Like, it's not that important. There's more bigger. I mean, again, this is what gets me excited for Phase 4, because we've barely scratched the surface. We have no X-Men. We have no Fantastic Four. So many villains, so many characters that we're going to dive into. Kane the Conqueror, Galactus, you name it. I can't wait. But it almost was kind of like a slap in the face. Like, Infinity Stones aren't that important, especially when you're dealing with the TVA. But let me know what you all thought about that moment in regards to the less of an impact of the Infinity Stones. Cut to Loki realizing that he maybe needs to stay here for a little bit as he goes back to Mobius's office. Again, he sees his mother die. He sees the events of what happened in Thor Ragnarok with his dad dying, just seeing all the stuff that kind of what he's created, this madness that he's kind of created in his path to claiming the throne. And we even see the replay in the moment of him and his brother Thor in the elevator. We even see the death of Loki in my favorite Avengers film, my favorite film in the MCU, Avengers Infinity War. We see Thanos cracking his neck. I love that moment. Again, the score in the show, the tone, it's just working. It's nostalgia. It's new. It's fresh. I'm just really enjoying this show so far. In this first episode, I'm just so hooked in this show. But again, that was such a big moment for Loki to see this, because he tells Mobius as he comes in the office, I don't enjoy hurting people, because that's the whole thing that Mobius wants to get from Loki. Why do you do the things that you do? As he's trying to study Loki, as we'll find out here why in a bit. But I love this moment, this kind of quieter moment that we get between those two characters, as he says he doesn't enjoy hurting people, which is the moment I think we get this new version of Loki, a mixture of evil Loki, the God of Mischief, and someone that wants to do a little bit of good if it gives him something to do as well. So this is, I think, his new path for the rest of this series. series, as we see him having this kind of one-on-one moment with Hunter B-15 as he gets the best of her. He ends up putting her in that time loop thing, which I love that device, by the way. I can't wait to see more of that device in the future episodes, but he gets the best of her. He wins this particular round. As we kind of wrap up the episode, Loki goes over a little bit of his mindset of why he is desperate for control and why he has the mindset that he has. As we see again, the Infinity Stones do not work in the TVA, and this is where we're given the mission for the weeks ahead, and this is the bigger bad. This isn't about Loki, but another version of Loki. The fugitive variances, they're out there, they're killing the Minuteman, and Loki has to hunt another version of himself. As we wrap up in Oklahoma 1858, we see the Minutemen have gotten some type of remnants of this variant Loki, and this is where the show gets dark because they burn alive. We see that version of Loki puts that time reset in the end of the episode. Who is this version of Loki? I have my theories. I think that it's pretty much been set out there that there is an actress that may be playing a version of Loki, and particularly Lady Loki. So I think we can maybe look forward to a character like that, or maybe it is Kang the Conqueror. Maybe it is a variant version of Loki that I am so excited to talk about in next week's episode. But let me know you guys' thoughts on this first episode. What worked? What didn't work? Who do you think this version of Loki is? What do you think about the Mephisto reference in regards to the devil in the mirror? What do you think about Kang? Are we getting other characters from Thor's universe, whether it be Thor himself, Heimdall, Odin, Hela, you name it? What's your thoughts on what to expect in the weeks ahead? And let's talk about it in the comments. Again, guys, we'll be diving deeper into this episode on tomorrow's live stream, Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time, as well as make sure that you're letting me know if you're interested in winning that cool hat that we're going to give away on tomorrow's stream. Just let me know if you want to enter the contest in the comments. As always, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Can't wait to talk more Loki on a week-to-week basis. Can't wait to see you all on tomorrow's live stream. Hope you're having a great day. We'll see you in the next video.